Hello everybody, welcome back to a brand new video. Thank you guys all so much for joining me. Today we're gonna go ahead and be unboxing and trying out this poly extension gel nail kit by Born Pretty. You guys know this is my favorite brand for gel polishes. I honestly really love their gel polishes, and I'm actually very excited to try out their poly gel. Let's go ahead and quickly open it up. So first we have their extension and nail kit user manual. It gives you basic instructions on how to use it with dual forms. Next, we get two type of full cover dual forms. Honestly, I really love that they included this. Most brands have these ugly type of caterpillar looking dual forms. Honestly, I hate them. They have a strong C curve. I just don't get the appeal of them, and I have no idea who even uses them, but they're pretty useless, honestly. And these are full cover dual forms, so they are perfect. Two different shapes, stiletto and ballerina. I honestly really love the stiletto shape. These are, I would say, about long or medium length, depending on your preference. I honestly would call these medium. But here's how they look. Next, we have the ballerina. And these are honestly really long. And they have a very strong C curve as well. Here's how that looks. Next, we get two clips to hold the dual forms in place. I honestly don't really like these. I've never used them for dual forms. I've tried it before and I just do not like it. I feel like it just makes the polygel kind of just seep out through the side, so I just prefer to do it a little bit different. But they do include these if you like. Next, we have these little mini dapping dishes. These are plastic. Some kits will have the glass one if you're honestly lucky. I prefer a glass dapping dish just because when you're dipping your brush into the isopropyl alcohol or just lip solution, often it can just tip over if it doesn't have enough isopropyl alcohol to make it just stand in place. And that is one thing I am just gonna say from that. I would prefer a glass tapping dish, but they do include two, so that is good. Next, we get 20 milliliters of their acrylic gel slip solution. I am very excited to try this out. You guys know I normally use 91% isopropyl alcohol or 70%, and that is honestly my go-to. I honestly do not really love slip solutions, so I'm actually excited to see how this one goes. Next, we get the standard polygel brush with the brush on one end and the spatula on the other. Here's how that looks. Pretty standard generic type of brush. Next, we do get a hand file. Honestly, it just feels like those emery board types. It's not too sturdy. You guys can see it's really thin, but here's how that looks. Next, we do get some alcohol prep pads. These are 75%, and we do get a few. I believe we get about 5. Here's how this looks. These are perfect to remove that inhibition layer that the polygel leaves. Next, we get their base gel and top coat. These are both 10 milliliters. I do love that, and I honestly really do love their top coat as well. I am going to go ahead and quickly open up the base gel. When using a base coat for polygel, I like mine to be just a little bit thicker, and honestly it just seems very thin. You guys can tell that right away. And then here's her top coat, and their top coat is honestly a little bit more thicker than the base gel, just a slight amount. Next, we do get a 6-watt mini UV LED lamp. Again, if you're using polygel, I do recommend to get a 48 wattage lamp or higher. That is going to ensure that your polygel is fully cured and you do not get contact dermatitis. Here's how this looks. Very generic mini UV LED lamp. I would probably use this for flash curing, but even so, I honestly rarely use these kind of lamps. I have literally about 30 of these, and I never really ever use them. So here are the 6 polygel tubes. We get 4 nude colors, 1 glitter and 1 clear. Each tube is 15 grams each. I really love this kit. It includes honestly just probably the best colors for fall. Here's how these look. The consistency, I would say, is a little bit sticky and runny from what I tried them out. So for the consistency, I did already try these out. Honestly, they're pretty semi-sticky and a little bit runny. Very soft formula. Here's the swatches. We have the color BB13, BB16, 15, 14, and 17. My favorite color is honestly this brown here. It's honestly really pretty. So here's everything that is included in the kit. You guys can see that you do get a good amount of stuff. Honestly, my favorite thing that they did include in this kit are the dual forms. I really love dual forms. I think they honestly are my reason I started doing polygel, just because I think everybody saw those videos on YouTube or whatever when polygel was trending. I think it was about 6 years ago that I actually started doing nails, and those are the videos that I saw. I was like, wow, it looks so easy, dual forms, you know, right? And you've done it, you get the stuff, and you're like, what the heck, it's so hard to do. And it was, to be honest, but eventually I did get the gist of it and how to do it. It's pretty easy. I no longer use a dual form though, just because I love long nails. You guys know I love them, like about this XXL type of length, and there's no dual forms that are stiletto and at that length. So yeah, but anyways, without further ado, let's go ahead and get right into this set. So let's go ahead and get started. Up first, we have the acrylic gel slip solution, and when you open it up, it is kind of the color of a monomer. It doesn't have that same smell, but it is that color. It's honestly very hard to get the liquid out of the bottle. So I'm just going to go ahead and pour it just like so. Onto a different container, I'm going to be using what I usually use, 70 or 91% isopropyl alcohol. Since the consistency is a little bit more runny, sticky, and very soft, then I'm going to go ahead and alternate to the 70 because it's just going to help it work a little bit better. If you were to use 91, it's going to be a little bit more runny and a little bit harder to work with. So yeah. Then we're going to go ahead and be grabbing a paper towel. I love to use the Viva ones. That they're honestly very strong, and they give you little to no lint. And so I'm going to be using the polygel brush that it comes with. Here's how it looks. And we're first going to go ahead and test out the Born Pretty slip solution. Again, like I said, I prefer a glass tapping dish just because when you have it like this, I often like to submerge my brush first and remove the excess. But since this one is plastic and more fragile, it most likely will tip over. I do have my own tapping dish that I love to use. It is glass and it's really sturdy, so I would recommend to get one of these. So I already went ahead and chose my dual form sizes. When using dual forms, they often do require to be a little bit bigger, slight amount. Here's a number 0. And the one that would fit perfectly is the number 1, so you're going to have to downsize, just because if you don't, the polygel is going to end up not filling the entire sidewalls. So here's how it looks. You guys can see we do have a little bit of that seeping onto that skin here, but eventually it isn't going to actually touch it, just because it will shrink eventually when you cure it. I am going to go ahead and be using the color BP15, so I'm going to just add a little bit. And then once you get towards the cuticle area, you want to add a little bit less. And so here's how that looks. It's like a really pretty kind of apricot color. And then you guys can see it's basically already kind of just lost its shape. Like, this is what I mean when it's too soft. This is not my favorite kind of consistency. And for the slip solution, I would say it's not my favorite either. I have to often wet my brush again so it won't stick. Okay, so it's a little bit way too sticky even with the slip solution, so I'm going to go ahead and now go back to 70, which is what I normally like to use. how the nail looks. Alright, so I do have a lot of excess here. As I mentioned, this polygel is a bit runny, so you have to kind of work a little bit quick, otherwise it's just going to droop everywhere. So I'm going to remove all that excess first. By the cuticle area is where you want to have the thinnest amount of polygel. And so here's the thickness. Right, so I do want to show you guys something that I just noticed. The polygel spatula is extremely flexible. It's almost like plastic. It's very cheaply made. Do not recommend to use it. Here I do have a magnet here. It'll stick here. That just shows you it's metal. This one will not. As you can see, it's not sticking to this one at all. As you can see. So I would probably recommend a better polygel brush. Very flexible. In comparison to this one, I cannot bend it at all. Since I already have all my dual form sizes lined up, I'm going to go ahead and just continue basically filling all of them with my polygel so that I'm able to just go ahead and quickly apply them onto my nails. So I'm making sure that I take my time applying that polygel and spreading it evenly across the entire nail. Besides the cuticle area is where you want the thinnest amount of polygel, otherwise it will seep onto the cuticle area. So here are all my dough forms prepped and ready to go. When using Stiletto dough forms, that shape is narrow, so I do recommend to remove the entire free edge of your natural nail, or to simply round them out. I did not do that, but I do recommend you do it, otherwise it might look a little bit weird. But I also do recommend to get a flash clear lamp. I'm using this one by Painted Desert. You guys can use my discount code PRIS10 at checkout. And the way I apply my dough forms is by, in a 45-degree angle, gently apply that. Apply a little bit of pressure, just a slight amount, and then we're going to go in and flash clear only at the cuticle area. The reason we are going to go ahead and be doing that is so it can just hold that nail in place and we do not need to use these clips. So you guys can see I'm just flash curing really quickly so we can fix the underside of the nail. Here you guys can see I'm just fixing that very quickly, just like so. And once you're done fixing that, I'm going to go ahead and do a full cure of 60 seconds. And that's basically it. Again, basically you're applying it in the dough forms the way you would apply gel X. 45-degree angle, slightly up. Go ahead and just press down. Flash cure the cuticle area, and then work on the underside and then do a full cure. I'm going to go ahead and let you guys enjoy watching the rest of the process, and I'll be back shortly. So here's how my nails look after applying each and every single dough form. Now I'm going to go ahead and let you guys enjoy watching me pop them off. And so here's how the nails look after. Honestly, they cured extremely well, very hard. This polygel is not flexible at all. Even though it looks pretty thin, like I said, it cured extremely hard. I was actually impressed with that. Next, we're going to be using this alcohol prep pads, and we're going to go ahead and remove the inhibition layer it has at the bottom of the nails. Next, using this extra fine carbide bit, I'm going to go ahead and turn my efile to reverse since I am working with my non-dominant hand, and we're going to go at 15 RPMs. Next, I'm going to turn on my Cordless nail dust collector by MelodySusie. You guys can use my discount code Priscilla12 on the MelodySusie website to save 12% off your entire purchase. What I'm going to be using this bit for is just to simply seal and remove any excess polygel that might have seeped onto the skin. And honestly, this is going to give you a flush cuticles, and it's going to just make everything come together. So here's all the cuticles already sealed. Next, using a hand file, we're going to go ahead and just sharpen up that shape on the sidewalls here, just like so. Next, I'm going to grab my Model 1's buffer, and we're just going to buff the entire surface of the nail. So here's how the nails all look fully after I went ahead and just washed and cleansed my hands with some soap, and they look absolutely stunning. I love that application. I didn't do a second coat at all. Honestly, just took some filing to just fix them up a little bit. But that cuticle area is pretty sealed. It looks really, really good, to be honest. And it looks like I actually applied these on with nail tips. I was actually really impressed with that. But here I'm just applying some white gel and using a liner gel by the brand Boslin here, and we're just creating a French tip. Here's how that looks. It was honestly pretty hard. I haven't done my non-dominant hand for a while, and it's just coming back to me, so I do take a little bit of time to kind of work with that, but it's not too bad. But yeah, here's how that looks. I went ahead and did a full cure of 60 seconds, and here again I'm just doing another French tip on the ring finger there. Next, I'm going to go in with my Born Pretty top coat, and we're going to apply one very thin coat to both the ring finger and the index. And look how beautiful that French tip looks. I honestly really, really love this polygel color. Looks really, really nice. And you want to make sure you do not cure the top coat just yet. We are going to apply some little gold sequins. And now here I'm just going to go ahead and directly onto the wet top coat. I'm applying these kind of stars. I do recommend to use rhinestone gel, but I am personally just going to pop this set off. Onto the pinky, I'm applying one very thin coat of top coat and curing for 30 seconds. Then using this gold chrome, we're just going to rub that on there. Remove any excess, and then next we're just going to go in and top coat that again. Once you've top coated that, we're going to go ahead and buff that surface so we get a matte and even surface. So using the alcohol prep pad, go ahead and cleanse it of any debris and or dust. And then we're going to be using this 𝚖𝚎𝚗 rhinestone glue to do some little 3D line work. I'm applying some of that onto a palette, and I'm going to be using my Nails by Deb Hella Cute liner. This is my favorite liner when it comes to doing 3D globs or blobs, whatever you want to call them. And I go ahead and just start by swirling my brush there at the point, and that is going to give me like a little bubble there at the end of my brush, and that is just going to give me just a juicy, really nice glob there. And then I'm going to go ahead and flash cure so we maintain that 3D texture. And yeah, that's all I'm going to continue doing, just lines, abstract lines, globs, and then flash curing in between. Then after, we're going to do a full cure of 30 to 35 seconds. Once you've cured, we're going to grab that gold chrome and we're just going to go on top of the entire texture that we made there. And this is going to give it a nice pop. And then I'm going to go in with my Born Pretty Super Top Coat and we're just going to top coat that and cure for 60 seconds. Next, we're going to be using some gold chain. And I start off by always measuring out the amount that I'm going to be needing. And then we're going to trim that using just some scissors. And I'm just making sure that it fits the nail. Then I'm going to be using this point and drill rhinestone gel. And I'm applying it where I am going to be placing that chain. I already have the pattern down of how I'm going to be doing it. And then using some tweezers, I'm just going to go ahead and apply that directly onto that rhinestone glue gel pattern that I have there. Then I do recommend after you have that laid down to flash cure and then do a full cure of 60 seconds. Here's how that nail looks, absolutely stunning. And then next I'm going to use my top coat and I'm just going to top coat the nail first where we do not have the chain, and then I'm going to go all over the entire nail. You want to make sure that you do top coat the entire chain as well, otherwise it will kind of tarnish and become an ugly yellow color. But that's basically it. I went ahead and did a full cure of 60 seconds and here's how the nails turned out. It's an absolutely gorgeous set. I am not a gold girl, to be honest. I prefer silver. You guys can tell right away. I rarely use gold, but I thought I should do it. I think this gold and that apricot beautiful polygel color just went really good with gold. But yeah, let me know what you guys think about this set. Honestly, the polygel was okay. Would I purchase it personally? Probably not. It's not my favorite consistency. I prefer a much more stiff, firmer consistency. It's just best to work with, to be honest. I think this polygel in particular is best used for dough forms rather than nail tips or paper forms as well. You guys know I am very picky with the kind of polygel consistency I love. So I'm going to be 100% honest with you guys. If you guys prefer a softer polygel, then I definitely recommend this one. If not, then probably I would stray away from this one in particular. But yeah, it's pretty soft. It does self-level. It has a good amount of pigment and it cures extremely well. If you were to do long nails and you're worried about the polygel breaking, you would not have a problem with this one at all. It's not flexible at all. It just honestly worked really good in that sense. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed my review today, and thank you guys all so much for joining me today. See you guys next time, and please take care. Goodbye. So I'm going to quickly go ahead and answer a couple questions and give you guys a closer look at the set, just because I forgot to actually do that in depth and I'm just about to take them off and I just remembered. So I do have already the charm. I already took them off. But the cuticle area is honestly very flush. So if you're having trouble with dual forms and your dual forms looking bulky or at the cuticle you can't get them to fit right, then your issue is going to be that you're not applying it in a 45-degree angle, and you're not applying the right amount of product at the cuticle area. You want to make sure that when you're applying dual forms, you're applying less product at the cuticle area, and that is going to ensure that you have a very nice flush cuticle. Sorry, I just washed my hands. So here you guys can see most of the cuticle. You guys can see it's pretty flush. And so if that's the issue you're having, then that's the fix I'm going to give you. Hope that helps. I know a lot of people have issues with that when using dual forms. Now the next thing is this that we have here. I don't know if you guys can see that. So I mentioned earlier that when you're applying these dual forms, you want to make sure that your free edge of your natural nail is very short, little to no free edge, and you round them out. Why? Because you guys can see the stiletto shape goes a little bit more narrow, and obviously the stiletto dual forms already have kind of a nail bed size that you need. If you have longer nail beds, then probably this stiletto dual forms might not work for you, just because I honestly feel like the nail bed size on these dual forms, just because of the length, is pretty small. So often it will require again for you to remove the free edge of your natural nails. That is going to help you and give you a much more cleaner look. For example, here you guys can see there's little to no free edge. I kind of did round this one out and it looks a little bit much more neater. And so again, that is just going to help you a little bit more. You guys can see my free edge under here. It's right about here. It's this long. But yeah, that's honestly the fix to that. Alright, next, the question that a lot of people often ask is the underside of the nail. Here's how the underside looks. So you guys can see my natural nail, it's still there. Here's my natural nail length all the way up to here. Hopefully you guys can kind of see the difference there. There's my natural nail, you guys can tell. And there's that dual form. And so the way to get a nice underside of that natural nail, the trick is in your flash cure lamp that I showed you guys. It's making sure that you flash cure it at the cuticle area. Once that's flash cured, it's going to be secured in place. That is going to give you time to go ahead and fix the underside before you go ahead and do a full cure. This is going to be nicely, you're able to just work very gently, fix that up, and boom, that's basically it. Let's say you accidentally flash cured more than just the cuticle area and some of the underside is already cured. All you have to simply do to fix that is grabbing these two bits. These are the ones that I recommend. You can go ahead and just grab your efile and you can fix that underside of the nail. I think I prefer this one. It's rounder here, so it's just able to easily, you know, remove any excess and just give you a very nice flush underside. And I do recommend ceramic bits when working with polygel. Polygel can be a little bit more sticky, and often your bits can clog up just a little bit easier, so that is why I recommend ceramic bits. But yeah, this is the bit that I recommend. I would probably recommend a fine bit. This one is a medium grit. But yeah, just one of these, and that's going to give you a nice flush underside. I hope that answers most of the questions I often get asked. If you guys have any more questions, any concerns, or if you guys want a more in-depth tutorial, I can definitely do that for you guys. I even myself struggled a little bit to actually use the dual forms in this video. I know it may seem like I didn't, but honestly, when it comes to cleaning that underside there, it is a little bit harder just because I am working with my non-dominant hand, but it is possible. I do want to let you guys know that it does take some time, a little bit of practice, but you guys can get it.